out of 10. Review this again. A 10 out of 10. Review it again. A 10 out of 10.
Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Anna Von Hausswolff album, The Miraculous. Swedish singer-songwriter and organist-composer Miss Anna Von Hausswolff. This is her latest full-length album, which is following up 2012's Hidden Gem Ceremony, a record that I was highly anticipating at the time of its release. However, it didn't really end up wowing me. On this record, you will hear mostly lonesome, dramatic vocals cutting through beds of organ drones. It's simple, but only sometimes effective. However, I saw enough potential here to the point where I would be excited for whatever Anna was going to be doing in the future. I was excited for this new record over here, and I'm happy to say that this new record over here is much bigger. It's a much larger album. It expands past the drony, somewhat dream poppy sounds of her last record. Some inspiration coming from genres such as progressive rock and even a little bit of metal, a touch of post-rock too. Kind of like on the Swans and Godspeed end of that spectrum. Now, of course, the organs and Anna's vocals are still very much a focal point on these songs. On this record, Anna's vocals are very haunting. They are expressive. And the backing musicians here provide some pretty versatile and dynamic tracks for Anna to sing over. Between the drums and the organ and the bass here, there are mountains of low frequency on this thing, as well as some gorgeous, sweet, and tender highs. And the recording here is really organic. It's really intimate. It sounds very live and in the moment and fluid. It's almost as if the whole thing was recorded in a church right then and there with no or very minimal overdubbing, which might in fact be the case because it sounds like Anna is once again playing a large old school organ, and it's not like you could just pick that up and take it somewhere else. Now, prior to the release of this record, I thought Anna's singing was pretty, but there are moments on here, on this new album, where I think it is turned electrifying, especially as she's reaching up into her higher range on tracks like Come Wander With Me. However, this is one of only a few longer tracks on the record that I really like, and there are other spots on here that I'm not all that impressed by. This album has a really odd flow to it. We have 3 songs here which are longer, and altogether add up to about 3/5 of the album's runtime. We're talking songs that are roughly about 10 minutes each. And on these songs, this is where the album's greatest, most epic, and most ambitious statements lie. Like on the mostly instrumental song Discovery, which has this hard rocking and progressive intro. Vocals actually don't show up in this track until about the 7-minute mark. And everything up until that point is propelled by this building, fast, just high-octane rock instrumentation. It's really great. And then an ominous drone follows, and it gets really heavy, it gets really dense. It's like listening to the soundtrack of an army prepping for the battle to end all battles. The song Come Wander With Me is equally huge, and a lot of the time showcases Anna's voice wandering through this incredibly vast and open drone created by the backing instrumentation. Eventually, the song erupts into these really sinister guitar and drum passages, which are amazingly dark. It's like all of a sudden the band has shifted into something that resembles that of like an old school doom metal track. There are guitar licks on this album that feel like they are pulled right out of the Tony Iommi playbook. And the title track of this album is actually a very hypnotic, beautiful, and kind of long-winded drone. A bulk of the other songs on this album, however, are nowhere near as long. They don't feel anywhere near as developed, and in comparison are almost like detours and just kind of inconsequential, just like they're sort of killing time. With these shorter tracks consistently, we get abrupt endings and musical ideas that just aren't really as developed. Sort of like on the song An Oath, or on the song POMPERIPOSSA, where on this track we get these creepy, gothic chords and these blissful organs on this track as well. The lead vocals are stunning, but eventually the track just evaporates into nothing. Or The Hope Only of Empty Men. We have very weary vocals on this track. The organs are beautiful, hypnotic once again, but the track evaporates into nothing. Anna and her band, they develop some cool musical ideas, or they set a great mood, but once that mood has been established, they just don't take it anywhere beyond that initial development. There are a few exceptions, like the song Evocation, or the closer here, which is kind of like this spaghetti western themed dark little acoustic guitar backed ballad. It's very dramatic, it's very dark, kind of reminds me of The Doors a little bit in a way. But aside from that, I feel like so many other songs here could have gone longer. But still, the album is about 50 minutes long as is, and it's just about 9 tracks. So with these 3 songs and those 2 other tracks that I think are quite good, I did end up enjoying a bulk of the album here. It's just that it's so painfully obvious that more length and more development to at least a couple of these tracks could have made this record better. So there are some painfully loose ends in the track listing here, unfortunately. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing. Tran? Zishin, have you given this record a listen? If you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? That's it. Anna Von Hausswolff, The Miraculous, forever.